Ashley, your Scrapbook nerd, and I'm back today with a layout for Scraplift Crafternoon, and it's where a bunch of my crafty peeps and I get together and we scraplift an amazing layout from an amazing creator. And this week we are scraplifting Fawn, and you saw her beautiful layout at the top of the video. And I'm also doing day 24 of 31 Days of Cutfiles, and you saw it there. It's the outside my window cut file. And I am using my Graphic 45 Well Groomed collection. And so I have the chipboard pieces, the stickers, the ephemera, and then the papers. And I pulled in a couple different papers. I wasn't sure what I was going to use for my background paper. And then I pulled in the scraps because I cut my cut file from the collection as well. And so since I was not really sure what I was going to make my main background, I decided to back my photo to start with. And so I just used a scrap piece of white paper and I did a photo mat of my photo. And then I figured I would use this blue paper as a layout mat because in Fawn's layout, she matted hers. And my Cricut cut pretty close to the edge, and I probably should have moved it over if I had planned on using this as a background, but it was fine. I gutted it, and then I will decide to use the dog paws as my main background paper, and so I will just trim the edges of that just enough to where it barely covers the words from the cut file. And so, like I said, this is day 24 of 31 Days of Cutfiles with MK and Janet. And it says outside my window. And all I could think of was my dog Yoda. So I am scraplifting this photo of him. And he sits on the couch and he stares out the window. And there is a neighborhood cat that he is not a fan of. And so he's always just staring the cat down or barking at it. I have a tree in my front yard and I keep a little bowl of water out there because in the summer here it gets really hot, and so I want to make sure that any of the little neighborhood or feral cats have water. Well, consequently that makes them hang out in the tree well, and that drives Yoda insane. And so when I saw the cut file for outside my window, I thought it would be fun to do this photo of Yoda, and so I used the collection to cut it out. And you can see that here. And I cut the trees out in this red stripe paper, which I really like, but then it was kind of hard to find a backer paper. And so that's why I wasn't sure what I was going to use. I probably should have cut the trees, maybe the trees out in the black paw paper, and then I could have used many other options for the backer paper. But since it was this red, this black paw paper was the best choice to help make that stand out. And I had started out like Fawn had, where I was going to put the picture in the bottom right, but then I will flip them and put the picture at the top right and the cut file in the bottom left. And I just think that worked better for my layout. And so here I'm just gathering my different patterns for the flags that she had in her layout. I followed her layout pretty much exactly. I really liked how it looked, and I have a really hard time with flags and layering them because I'm always like, does this look right? Does this look too clustery, or does it look weird? Would this be how flags would lay? You know, I'm an overthinker as it is, and so I always seem to it be harder when it comes to the flags. So of course this video is choppy because I cut a lot of my rearranging out and my shuffling and everything with this layout. But I did choose this Graphic 45 collection because I liked all of the patterns, and I thought that it would go well for all the pattern flags like Fawn had. And so this is where I'm shuffling, and like I said, I won't make you sit and watch me do that. I definitely wanted the flags to not be wider than the cut file, so I had to trim them down a little bit, and I didn't want them to stick out where the trees were because, like I said, it's hard to have those striped trees with too much of a pattern of the flag. And so I needed those trees to lay on that black paper so that they would stand out. But I do love how this turned out in the end. And you will see too, I fold my paper after I figure out what patterns I want from either my scraps or I would cut them from some of the paper. I will fold it in half and cut at a diagonal to create the part of the flag, like the tail. Was that fishtail banners? Is that what they are? And so that helps do that. Sometimes if the paper's too big and it won't fold to where it can cut in one cut, then I will find the center and draw a line from corner to the center. But since these were small enough to fold in half and cut, then I didn't have to worry about measuring or anything. And then I thought I would distress the flags. I just thought that would be a fun addition to them. And I did distress that paw paper in the back as well. And I had pulled out my distress ink and the black soot, and I did ink the back paw paper, and I had planned on inking the flags, but I didn't do that. I completely forgot about it. So only the backer paper got inked, but it also got distressed as well. And so make sure that you check out the description box. There is a lot of amazing things down there. We have 31 Days of Cutfiles with MK and Janet. So there is the links to their YouTube pages. So you can go and give them the loves and likes. And you can go to MK's shop at Some Assemblage Required and buy these cut files or any of the other amazing things she has in there. There's also a playlist and a Facebook page that you can join, and you can get all the inspiration to see what everyone does with the cut file. And then there is the Scraplift Crafternoon, and where all of my crafty peeps below that and see what they did with Fawn's layout. I can't wait because I loved her layout, and so I can't wait to see what everyone has done. And there is a playlist for that as well. And then you can click on all of their YouTube channels and love and like for them. Make sure you check out Fawn's Instagram. Her link is in the description box as well. And also, thanks to everyone that has liked and subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you want to be notified when I have new videos, just hit the little bell. And I would love to have you subscribe. So see, this is what I'm talking about. I didn't make you guys watch me rearrange these flags. I think I tell you all the time, like if the video is very choppy, it's because I spent hours rearranging. And I've mentioned a lot that it's just part of my process. And because I like to pile so much on my layout, it takes me a while to kind of figure out a balance for it all, or what I think is a balance. Some might think it's just clutter. But, that's the joy of everyone seeing how everyone takes the same inspiration or the same cut file and making it completely different. And so that's what I find really fun about these hops and being a part of them. And like I said, I thought that this would be fun to use the cut file for the dog. I was trying to think if I had any photos where we were like in a wilderness or like good scenery, because the cut file, it seems more like a scenery cut file. But then I found this photo and I was like, well, that's just a fun take on the cut file. And again, like I said, that's just fun to see how people interpret the different things. And I wanted to make sure that I got some of the same patterns that I used in the cut file onto the page as well. And I did that in the form of the flags. And you can see, like, I had that for the one with the photo, that top blue one. It was just a piece of scrap, but because I can hide it either under another flag, or in this case, I moved it under the photo, it looks like it's longer than it actually is. But I just gave it a fishtail and it worked really well. And then I wanted to fill the last little open spot with the top flags, and so I pulled in the last piece of the red stripe. And this collection is fun because it has all these patterns that you don't think would go, and then it's mixed in with dog type patterns. And so it's just a fun collection, and I don't use it very often. I have so much of it because I love it, and then I hoard it and I don't use it. So it's nice to actually get a layout using this collection done. And so I started to pull in all of the ephemera bits and make a cluster. I thought I was going to pull in that cat, and because I wanted to have some cat ephemera on here somewhere, just to make the point that he's staring at this cat that he's just not a fan of. And it's only one cat. Like, he doesn't like a lot of the cats and he'll stare at them, but there's this one cat that he barks at all the time, and I think that cat taunts him because he just lays in the tree well and wags his tail and stares at Yoda, and so I think that's why Yoda doesn't like him. But and the cat is definitely a feral cat because, you know, he looks like he's been through some stuff. But I wanted to make sure that I made that part of the layout, and so I decided to use that little square cat that I put at the top of the layout, and then I just used some words, and I just put that cat with some exclamation points on the photo, because again, I just wanted to point out that he's staring down this cat that's outside his window, and that is his window. He is always in that window. And so I like how that turned out. And then I just pulled in, there's the little cutie pie down at the bottom, there's the heart. I put this love tag across the photo, just creating my clusters. And then I don't like when the tag holes are open, so I used that glitter glue and filled in the holes. And in Fawn's layout, she had dots around, and that was my original plan, but since I used the black back paper, I didn't think you would see the glitter dots as well, and so I just filled in my tag holes with that. And then lastly, I pulled in from the sticker sheet some of these little arrows that I put across the photo here, and then I put some dog paws on the cut file, as well as I'll put one on the heart in the cluster, just to fill in and get some cute of that ephemera on there. And I think that I also pulled in one of the like red flowers, and I will cut it in half and I'll put it with the cluster at the bottom of the photo, as well as the one around the cat cluster at the top of the photo. That's what I'm doing here. Making sure not to smudge my glitter glue, because I always seem to do that and then add more stuff, and I'm like, I need to do my dots last so I don't smudge them. But that is the layout, guys. I, again, love how this turned out. Check out everything in the description box. All amazing stuff, and I hope that everyone has a great day. Bye!